Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm not, okay, no, out. Good morning, Sarah.
Hi, Anita. Trying to get
How
my.
are you, how are you today?
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. So happy that you're doing this again. I think your information is so great for our clients.
Yeah, I'm surprised
So,
that many people registered.
well, we have it statewide, so it's being offered to everybody in our state. So all the different chapters as well as ours. So I am we're going to be live streaming on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And what I'll do is just share the screen and do our score slides, and then I'll stop sharing and let you take over and do your thing. And so I think we should be in pretty good shape. We got some people already waiting in the waiting room. So since we have so many people signed up, maybe I'll open it up a little bit before noon so they can get on and get started at noon. So, okay, now I'm not hearing you for some reason. I was hearing you fine before.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. My headphones died.
Oh.
So I have to switch them out.
Oh, okay. Hi, Sandra.
Hello.
Good. I can hear you too. So I think we're in good shape. Let me put my slides up and make sure that you can see those okay. Um, okay, can you see those?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Do you want me to do the same?
If you want to, let's stop sharing. I can stop sharing and you can go ahead and share your screen and make sure it works.
Good.
Okay, yep, looks good. Super. So I think we're ready to go. Let's give them maybe I'll open it up about 5 of, and I'll go through, I can go through my slides. Most people who attend have seen the score slides before. So I won't worry too much if people are logging on while we're going through those. So we're in, I don't know what the situation with the libraries are as far as funding these days, but SCORE is in a particularly precarious position. We're threatening to lose our funding next year. So,
Gosh, we're not much better.
I think that the new administration is trying to cut everything that they can.
Yes, without any sort of plan.
No plan, absolutely. Just, cut everything and then add back those things that we can't get along without, maybe.
Well, you're SBA funded, correct?
Yes, well, we are, but the SBA, what they're telling the SBA is that they're not going to fund SCORE, or the Women's Business Center, they're only going to fund the small business development centers.
Oh,
And those are
okay.
and those are really controlled more at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly how that's going to
Oh,
work,
gosh.
but we're busy exploring how we can work with the SBDC. Of course, we're all volunteers, but our central office that supports us is not made up of volunteers. So
No, but still, you've
um,
got to maintain a website and all of these,
exactly,
yeah.
there are about 250 chapters.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's 250 websites, um, and we've got a big database that we have to maintain. All of our records. So
Yeah.
it's I think we in the up to date have about, I'm going to say, $7 million, something like that, primarily in the central office. Um, so we'll see what happens. We might be out of a job next year.
Oh, no. Well, we would give you some money, but we're fighting.
Don't have
We're,
any either.
so
Yeah.
at the federal level, the Library of Congress is what determines what the library budgets are,
Uh-huh.
but they got rid of the staff who distribute the
Right.
funds. And
Right.
then at the state level, they're still trying to figure it out, but they are I'm saying going to eliminate our percentage from the public library fund from the general revenue and
Uh-huh.
make it a line item. But when the governor passed his version, it was like $2 million more than what either the House or Senate was going to give us.
I see.
And so now it went from the House back to the Senate. The House didn't like the Senate's version, and I haven't seen where they are, but so we all don't know. This is all the public libraries in Ohio.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
I blame it all on the Republicans.
Me too. But
Yep.
well,
I
they
won't say
also
that
passed
very loudly, but
it's not wrong. Well, I should say it's very specific individuals who are
yes,
running rampant through our government.
yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, there's nobody controlling them.
No, the
Yeah.
Supreme Court is, I'm so disappointed.
Yes, me too. Yeah, it's well, and I'm just overall disappointed in Congress
Yes.
because they're just taking no responsibility. I think all the Republicans in Congress are complicit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They need to grow a spine.
Yes,
Or something.
indeed.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
it looks a little bit sad for the funding situation next year.
Well, I think there's going to be a blue wave in 2 years because people are, especially if Medicare gets cut.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone's going to be furious. So
Let's
they,
hope. Let's hope. You
yeah.
know, I mean, the people who are being most hurt by all these cuts are the people who voted Republican.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I read an article written by a woman, I think in Kansas. I think she's an elected official and clearly Democratic, and said that nothing appeals to these people. They just will automatically vote against anything that's Democratic. So, trying to convince them otherwise in any way isn't going to work. And I think, oh, that sounds terrible.
Eh, Yeah, oh man. Well,
So,
let's hope that the young people actually go vote and the presidential turnout was terrible, so we'll
really,
see.
really,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my grandchildren are all now coming into the voting age, and the girls are very politically active and very,
Good.
you know, pro everything. The guys, one of them is very socially aware and participates in the protests and so forth. But other ones, well, they're not all that excited about doing anything. And so I really had to give them an ultimatum at the last election that they had no choice but to vote Democratic. So
Good for you.
but there's only so much pressure you can use for so long, you know.
Right.
But
That's true.
it's more because they aren't paying attention really, and don't bother, rather than the fact that they are just not involved. And I think that's true of a lot of people who aren't maggots.
Hmm.
They just don't pay any attention to politics, and then when the time comes to vote, they just vote for a name that they recognize. They don't bother
Yes.
to look at the issues unless they've been affected in some way,
Hmm.
personally. Otherwise, they just don't pay attention. And so I joined the League of Women Voters to, to
Good.
to see
Good.
what I could do to help educate people, because I think that's where it has to be, especially with young people. Get them
Yes.
educated.
Yes.
And then you have to say, how have they been brought up if they have no concern about the ethical issues involved? So, anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I'm using up all our time. I'm going to
Oh,
start the webinar.
all right.
So,
Okay.
we will get going.
Here we go.
And I'm going to share my screen here.
All my phones are on silent.
Okay. And I'm going to say good afternoon to those of you who are just joining us. We are happy to be sponsoring the Cleveland Public Library and all of their wonderful resources. But before we get started with the library, I need to give you a little bit of information about SCORE. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. Also, after the presentation, you will be getting a copy of the slides and link to the recording. So let's talk a little bit about SCORE. What is SCORE? We are the largest network of free uh, volunteer small business mentors in the country. Um, we hope that whatever stage your business is in, that we have a mentor that will be able to help you. Um, you can go to our website and click on Find a Mentor, fill out a short form, and we will assign you a mentor. Our mission is to foster vibrant small business communities. We do this through mentoring and education, such as the webinar today. We hope that every person will have the support that they need. I'm not sure what's causing that noise. Anyways, we know that small business drives our national economy and certainly also our local economy. If you notice, downtown Cleveland has been somewhat revitalized in the last few years simply because small businesses have moved into the downtown area. So this is a map of where we are. So we're throughout the country. If we don't have somebody in the Cleveland office or in Ohio who can help you, we can call on any one of those other 10,000 volunteers and certainly would be able to find somebody with a background similar to what you are interested in as a business owner. We do have a code of ethics, which makes sure that none of your information is going to be shared. We're not going to use it for any commercial reasons, and we're certainly not going to make any money from your information. So it's all confidential and protected. This is a snapshot of our website. Again, you can go browse our local mentors and actually pick out somebody that you feel might be a good mentor for you, or you can ask us to match you with a mentor. And when you do that, it would be helpful if you give us as much information as possible about the business that you're interested in. That allows us to match up somebody with a very similar background to help you. So our services are free. Some of the funds that we get to support us are from the SBA, but we also get funding from many of the local businesses, particularly the banks, who are interested in helping grow the economy and interested in helping small business owners. So these are links to our website. Again, you'll get a copy of the slides and a link. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn this over to the library. And welcome to Sarah Dobransky and Sandra Whitmer, who are the library gurus. And go ahead and do your thing.
Think you're still sharing. Can I share it now? There we go. Right. Present. Here we go. So welcome everyone. If you have not been to our research webinar for SCORE, we're glad to have you. I completely forgot to put an actual introduction slide in here. So about Sandy and myself, Sandy is our senior business librarian and is an amazing researcher here. And I'll say the entire business staff is really good. And not just because I hired a few of them, but because they really, 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 truly love what they do and they have amazing expertise. I am the manager for business, science, and government documents, but that also includes our Patent and Trademark Research Center. So that is why you're getting me at first. I'm going to go through these slides a little quickly, and then at the end, Sandy's going to go and do some live searching. So just a little tiny bit about CPL. We're old. 1869, we had our 150th a few years ago. We had a giant party right in front of the library down here. We have 27 branches, which includes Maine, and Public Administration Library, which is conveniently closed today, of course, is in City Hall. And they have a lot of local records, especially if you're doing like research on old buildings and stuff, you can talk to them. We really are one of the top public research institutions. We have things that academic libraries don't even have. We've gone over to Case, Cleveland State, plenty of places to say, hey, look, we can give you and your students things that they just can't get here. We have a bunch of databases and the online platforms, which I absolutely love. LinkedIn Learning, I use it personally and I use it professionally, and it's free. Gale courses, which are actual courses that you would have a professor with. There's a certain like time frame and it's online. And then Mango Languages, if for some reason you need to learn Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, or whatever, or brush up on any of those, also free. And again, I said we're a Patent and Trademark Resource Center, which is actually a formal agreement with the USPTO down in DC. So why come to the library? I know everyone thinks of the library as, oh, you know, it's story time and it's where we go to get DVDs when we were kids. I guess you don't get DVDs anymore, but you know, we get our books online. But CPL is a lot different. We are not just your neighborhood branch library down here. We have, when I say millions of books, we have millions of books. We have separate departments dedicated to just certain topics. which is very, very unheard of in most libraries. For example, our business department is half of the floor that I'm on right now, the fourth floor. The science department is the entire floor. So we have so many books that we have a whole floor dedicated to them. And the library footprint spans between East 3rd and East 6th Street on Superior, between Superior and Rockwell. So we're like a whole city block worth of books. And everything is the magic word free. I know it's usually please, but our magic word is free. There's nothing you have to pay for. You're already paying for it with your tax dollars. So come on and take advantage of it. We can do in-person appointments with our, like I said, amazing subject experts. And we can also do online, call, email, whatever it is. And we will, if we can't find it, we'll find someone who has it. And another nice thing, and this is not just for Maine, but for other places, you can reserve space if you're doing a meeting. The second floor of this building it's like a big conference room. They got rid of all the stacks and stuff, and they just turned it into one big giant open floor. And there's conference rooms around the outside, and all kinds of organizations have booked it for training. The teachers are always there. There was some sort of conference that was there. We also host day-to-days usually. So if it's during business hours, it's free. If you're going to have food, that's fine. It's just a small charge. And obviously anything after hours, you'd have to pay. But you can also reserve space in the branches as well. So if there's somewhere closer to you that you just need a meeting room for like 4 or 5 people, you can book room there. All right. For today, we are going to focus on industry research. So industry profiles, demographic data, competition, and materials. So at the end, like I said, Sandy's going to do some live searching, but I'm going to try to go a little bit quickly, talk about Gale Business Insights, Data Axle, Merchant Intellect, and Gale Legal Forms, my go-to resources for small business research and business plan research. So what is in the business plan? And this is straight from SCORE, and we're going to cover the marketing plan section of it, the industry analysis, the customer base, and competitor information. First, and this is everyone who comes in the door, what kind of business are you starting? What do you do? Do you know your product? And some people don't, they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. But if you've been doing, hair out of your basement forever, or if you've been going to your friend's house and, charging them here and there, and you're thinking, I could probably do this, regularly. Also be aware of, where are you doing it? Are you doing it at home? Are you doing it at a brick and mortar store? Are you selling something online? Are you, offering services like a graphic design or something? So be aware of what your product is, because that will really help you narrow your focus when you're doing research. And for the research, we're going to look at industry profiles. I hope you all know this, but if not, welcome to the classification systems. NAICS is how you pronounce it. It's North American Industry Classification System, and it's from the Census Bureau. It's the standard across pretty much every industry, and the government uses that when they're procuring things. But a lot of research databases also focus things on NAICS code. SIC is still used, but usually there's both, and obviously the government uses NAICS, but it's still in use. You can still find it, but mostly we use NAICS codes. Here's a census website. So they created it, and you can have multiple codes per industry. So there's some sub-industries on there. You could be doing, a pet store and a bakery for dogs at the same time. Whatever it is, you can combine those two. So today we're going to look at restaurants. That's our kind of go-to, mostly because it's easy to find examples. And I know it's also the hardest small business to get into. So my apologies. But we're going to look at restaurants. And you can see this is how it's broken down. The full service restaurants, it starts with 72, and then it gets broken down to 7225 and 722511. And that gets us full service restaurants. Now, they also tell you on there, if you're doing something that's a limited service, or if you're doing like a specialty thing, they'll tell you the other codes that you might want to look at to see if that applies as well. So now that we've grabbed our NAICS codes, we're going to look at the industry data. So this is where you come to the library, because I said that magic word, free. And I know that there are places that will charge you lots of money for this, but we are not one of them, and neither is SCORE. And we work together all the time. They come teach for us, we come teach for them. So that's really, one of the reasons why we're here. This is our website. It's changed in the last 6-8 months. Don't quote me on that one. But as long as you live in Ohio, work in Ohio, go to school in Ohio, you can get a library card. And it's not, like I said, not just Cleveland, Ohio, the whole state. We have, especially during COVID, people were in Dayton and Cincinnati and Toledo, and they'd say, hey, I need to get a card or I need to renew it, but I live in fill in the blank. And we're like, it's cool, we got it. We'll do it over the phone. So if you don't want a physical card, and because you can't come and show your ID, you can get an e-card online. It's very easy. Give them a couple days, because we do all of the applications like an actual person goes through them. So it's not like a quick, like Amazon order, you just click it and you're good. It might take a day or two. So on the website, because this has changed, we are looking at our databases under research and by topic. It's a little confusing, but we're going to try to stick to the business. So once you click on that, you'll get a page that looks like this. And then we're going to go to business and investing, and that will have a list of most of the business databases at the bottom. You can also do an A to Z search if you know what you're looking for. So like merchant, or look for like the plain dealer, but it wouldn't be in the business section. You could just do a regular search. Now we're going to look at industry profiles. Talk about restaurants. So we know our NAICS codes. We put them in there. You can see the little tiny 722511. And that's going to give us global or national. You can change what you're looking at. But I really love this website because it gives you industry reports. And if you scroll down on the page a little bit, you'll find Plunkett reports. You'll find the NAICS code breakdown. And then you'll find articles, case studies, all kinds of things that are very helpful for when you're doing research and when you're putting together your business plan. So that was just, a quick overall industry profile, but we're going to move on to demographics. And I'm sure you know this, but just a quick overview: who the population is, or how many are in the population, age, gender, race, ethnicity, income, education. Those are the things we're going to be looking at for your product, because you might be selling, t-shirts, but they're super high end, and you want to say, okay, my ideal customer makes this much money and has, these kind of interests. Or you might be, doing a nonprofit or something, and you're like, okay, I'm looking for an area that has a lot of children because we're doing, school stuff. So that's why we're looking at demographics. The information is available from the government for the most part. It's clunky, and most of our databases take that government information and make it easy to use. Some of our databases are private, so they have their own information. But a lot of times, if you'll see a report of, Cleveland, Ohio has so many people who are living with, this, I don't know, internet or in this type of house, that's government data. So you can get it from the Census Bureau. It's terrible. And I say that as a government librarian who's been here for years. No government librarian likes the Census Bureau website. This is what it looks like. It's difficult to build tables. I just did a quick population search. And it's difficult to also compare years, but we can do it. So if you want to go the long route, you absolutely can use the census data. If you don't have a card, if you're just, generally looking for something, that's not a bad idea, but I'd say definitely come to the library. When we're doing demographic research, Data Axle is one of my go-tos. So I'm just doing like a consumer search. So my example here, we're looking at 44109. That's the zip code I grew up in. And we're looking for people who have a household income over $80,000 because our restaurant is, it's not Taco Bell. But we also are looking for people who are interested in cooking, gourmet food. I think wine, it might be also included in that category. But when you do a search on Data Axle, you can see this beautiful little chart here that will tell you roughly how many people in that area have, and that right here I have it broken down by estimated home income, but you can see who falls into that group. But then this is where, totally worth all of the tax money that you pay. I'm just going to say that because, streets aren't that important. No, just joking. So you get a list of customers in that area who fall under that income bracket. You can download it. I have just gotten rid of a lot of the specific information, but you can get, if they have a listed phone number, it'll be there, first and last name, the street address, all of the information that you need, except for email addresses. And that's a separate charge because we don't have that part of the database. But I believe, and Sandy could quote me or tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you can put in a request for those to pay for it on your own. So that's Data Axle. Mergent, my other favorite one, does pretty much the same thing. So I did a lifestyle search, same exact category, 44109, over 80K, and then, food and cooking. So this gave me actually more results, but you can see at the bottom here that, again, it's a list of people. You can download it. You can turn it into a spreadsheet. You can turn it into, a mailing list, whatever you'd like. And, you're good. Also, we don't have the emails, but you can purchase those from Mergent. Also in Data Axle, one of my favorite examples is not just a restaurant, but one that has like a patio for dogs. And if you're looking to see who in the city has dogs or has interest in dogs, a heat map is very helpful. Why? Because if you're going to open up something in, say, Shaker area or something where there's less dog enthusiasts, maybe you want to start looking at Lakewood and the further west side. It's probably going to be better for your business. And as you're putting together your plan and doing your research, you can look at a bank and say, hey, this is where everyone is. This is why it's the perfect thing for this neighborhood, to really sell yourself. The same thing is on Mergent. It's not a heat map, but it does give you a list. And this, why it looks like there's a ridiculous amount of results, is because it's a total number of people, not households. So that is definitely smaller when you look at one address or one person per household. But if you want to send stuff to individual people, say you're just looking for, I don't know, females or males or something, and you want to send out a card or something, you can limit it that way. And as we're looking at demographics, we're going to move on to consumer information. What do they care about? How are they spending their money? So I told you about, looking for people who are interested in cooking to really narrow down where you are, looking at people who have dogs or are interested in dogs. You can get really, really granular as you're doing the research. And both Mergent and Data Axle are two of the databases that take both federal data and their private data and put it together. And Data Axle verifies information with small businesses. So if you have a small business and they contact you, they also are Reference USA, they change their name all the time. Please, please, please answer the questions because it helps us, it helps you. And then, you can go from there, but we really appreciate it. So competitor data, I should have switched my slides, but knowing who is your competitor, especially because you want to look and see what's going on. What are their prices? What are their, what employees do they have? Should you be in the same area? Should you not? So my example is Johnny's Tavern because it's in the 44109 zip code and it fits the bill. I don't believe they have a dog patio, but they're a nicer place. So we're looking at a higher income. And on Data Axle, you could just look up the business itself, click on it. You'll find a bunch of information, which will include their income, their amount of employees, if they have any special things going on, like it should be listing their executive or whoever's in charge. But then if you scroll to the bottom of the page or click on that, you can see both nearby businesses. So, and I'm sure you know this, but location, location, location. So what's around you that would make people come to your business? And then they already have a built-in competition report. It will list you in that area or near that area, the industry or the restaurants or whatever it is you're working with that are already similar, and then you can get the information. Again, you can download this. You can do whatever you want with it, but it will give you a good idea of who else is in the game. Same thing on Mergent. We grab Johnny's, and it gives us very similar information. There is a surrounding companies, if you can see on that tab, and just overview financials. So, like I said, when you're looking for who's in the game, that this is a great place to go. Now, when you need to fill your stuff, when you need to get suppliers, when you need to purchase things, you can also find that. Data Axle, we're going to go back and forth between these two, but Data Axle will let you find suppliers specifically. So those NAICS codes do break down into not just restaurant, but restaurant supply. And you're looking for someone in Cleveland, you put that in, and I mean, here it gave a 61. I think it might have changed in the last few months, but then you get a list of suppliers. And as you go through, you can see them, download them, make calls, whatever you want to do. And then you can look at their profile to see, does it seem legit or not? But also be aware when you're looking at these, for some reason, Dollar General comes up as a supply store, and I don't know why, but that's why you want to look through the list. Don't just assume that everything on there is exactly what you want. So like you can see down on the list, Action Appliance Repair. Do you need repair or do you need a new industrial oven? But at least you'll know that they're there if said oven breaks. Other business needs, Gale legal forms. I will wax poetic about these forever. I use them personally. They have everything. So everything on there is actual legal forms for Ohio. So you can get court documents. If you have to file a motion for something, it'll already have it set up with the weird little parentheses in the middle. Wills. I gave one to my parents because they were looking for a will, and it's you just download it and it's a Word document and you fill in what you want. They also have, affidavits for things, NDAs, all kinds of stuff. But they also have a very specific section for small business. So they have a couple packages. So I just grabbed the sole proprietor one. And I know it's kind of tiny, but you can see all of these different templates. And that's what they are, they're templates. So some of them might have some examples that are already filled out, but it's amazing what you can get on there. You can find like an employee agreement. You can find like templates for receipts, which sounds kind of weird, but it's not something that all of us, think about. If you don't have, the old book, which I might be dating myself, but the old carbon copy thing, then you got to come up with something online, and they've got something for that. You can see that there's Microsoft Word. Some of them are PDFs. A lot of them are also available in Spanish. So if you need something in Spanish or you need special forms in Spanish, you can get those. Especially if you are doing like employment stuff, I highly recommend this. I have shown attorneys this website, and I actually had someone tell me, I pay for this. I said, well, stop paying for it because it's free from the library. And again, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're in Ohio, you can get a library card. So there are we have corporate cards. I'm pretty sure the Federal Reserve Library has one. They come over all the time and do research. But if you're Sherwin-Williams and you want to use the databases, go ahead. If you are Barrio and you're trying to open up a new location, you want to use the databases, also fine. If you're someone who's working on a school project, it doesn't matter who you are, what level you are, where you are in the world, you have access to this. I mean, in the world, Ohio, but you have access to this. A lot of our databases are CPL specific, so you'll want a CPL card. And if you have a CleveNet card, which means that you are at Shaker, Sandusky, Medina, Rocky River, one of those libraries, and you want access to CPL databases, call our lending department. I don't have the number on here, but I can send it out, 216-623-2800, and they can change your profile to show up as CPL main. And that way you can still get stuff sent to your local library or your local branch, but you'll have CPL status so you can get our databases. Also be aware of other market trends. So as you're going through, especially those industry reports and the articles that Sandy's going to show you, what's going on, what is coming up. So again, as you're building your business profiles and your business plan, know what is there. So additional resources, like I said, the Patent Traffic Resource Center, which if you call, you're going to get either our science librarian, Jim, or me. Sorry, they'll get me a couple times. But we do help with patent searching and trademark searching and showing you the very complicated system that USPTO has. Those online platforms, I didn't show it, but Pearson's Test Prep is like a hidden gem. A lot of even our staff don't know about it. But if you do need to get your CDL, if you need to do any sort of professional, like a nursing exam or something, or you're doing like home health care, you can get free test prep. Also, if you've got kids and they're studying for ACT, SAT, whatever it is, you can go there. You don't have to pay for a Kaplan class or whatever it is. They have both tests. What are they? Example tests, and then they have actual lessons you can go through. Our social sciences department has the Candid database. So Candid will let you do grant searching, and that is huge. It has to be in person. So you have to be at one of our branches, and there are not a lot of organizations in Cleveland that have access to this. They usually come to us just to get it. And you used to have to be on one specific terminal, but now you can be at any of our locations. And we do research. We do courses all the time. We've got one coming up at our MLK branch, and another one in another branch. Don't quote me on those. So if you are interested in doing grant research, it's on our website, but you can always reach out and we'll find it for you. Tech Central. I've discovered that most small business owners, outside of the ones who are literally across the street, don't know about Tech Central. I have asked folks who have come to classes and they're like, what's that? If you don't know, you need to know. You will save hundreds of dollars with promotional things, with whatever you're working on by using Tech Central, because you only pay for the materials. So you can make custom t-shirts, you can make little buttons that you pass out, but you can also laser engrave. You can do, I want to say some sort of printing that you could do it right on a water bottle or a mug. We have etched so many things. I used it personally for a Christmas gift for my husband. I found a patent that I thought was cool, and I laser engraved it onto a piece of granite. So you can use it for anything. A lot of times it's for weddings, but the one big thing that they just started are those canvas signs that you can see, the ones that are outside, they have the grommet holes and things. You can make those in Tech Central, and you just pay for the materials. So if you have, if you're starting your business, opening your business, whatever, check them out. They are definitely worth it. If you call that number, 623-2800, you'll get an option to talk to Tech Central, and they can, I'm telling you, people have 3D printed pull tabs for the bar. They, I guess there's a local barber who's been putting his laser engraving his name on his actual personal products that he's been selling. So there's so many uses for it for businesses, and you don't have to go out to ThinkBox if you're out that way. They're a little bit more expensive, but yeah, if you come downtown, you gotta pay for parking. But if you're already down here, you're good. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Sandy.
Hello. Let me see if I can start sharing my screen here. Oops. And there we go. And it's not sharing my screen.
While we're waiting, maybe a few questions. Do all branches offer help and access to all these databases or just the downtown?
So they're available at all of our branches. And if you have a CPL card from wherever you are at home, the branch staff are they're great, but they're kind of the jack of all trade. You know, they're watching 5-year-olds and 50-year-olds helping with printers and stuff. And so if you need specific assistance with business, I would say if you can't come downtown, give us a call because that's all we do. And that's why I have so much respect for the branch staff because they are running all over the place, helping them do everything. And we have the luxury of just focusing on business.
Okay. For demographic searches, can it do B2B or is it restricted to B2C?
So we do have other databases that do B2B research. I just haven't put them in this particular presentation. While I'm on here, sorry. I'm going to share my screen really quick, Sandy.
Okay.
And then that way we can just take a quick look at our databases. Scroll down. It's not the best website. Where is my, wait, Compass. This is our B2B database. So again, if you have a CPL card, you've got access to this. But like, so we're kind of focusing more on like business plan research, but there's far, far more that you can do with our databases when it comes to like investing, more global things. We have a lot.
Now, for the getting access to the legal forms, again, can that be done online as
Yep,
well?
absolutely. So you don't need a CPL card for Gale Legal Forms. You just need a library, just a CleveNet card in general. And I do it on my phone if I'm looking for something specific. So you just go on there, you find what you need. You'll have to log in with your library card and password. If you can't remember your password, just give the lending department a call, or you can give us a call. We can fix it for you. But oh,
How
there we go,
often are
Sandy.
the databases updated?
Sandy, do you remember how often Data Axle?
How often they update?
Yeah.
They do it on a monthly basis. I mean, I
Okay.
think that they have people who are constantly updating. And one of the things that's really useful about their information is that for um, each screen, they'll say it'll say when it was last updated. So you
Okay.
know that you're
Yeah.
getting something from, I mean, in publicly owned companies, they can obviously easily get information on them every year, but privately owned companies sometimes they have a little harder time. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
okay. All right. So are we seeing my screen or not finally?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I will go over here. All right. So to do our database searching, as Sarah said, we go to our website, which is cpl.org. And we're going to click over here on research and by topic. And we'll just scroll down here to the business and investing section. And as Sarah said, there are like different levels of access to to the databases. So as it says here, unless specified, the following resources are available to all in Ohio. But of course, the first one that we're going to go into, Business Insights, is one of those that's a CPL card holder only. So if you want to have access to this outside of our locations, you need to get your profile changed or just come to one of our locations to get your card. All right, so there's a lot going on this screen. We can start our search right from this search box here. So I'm gonna try to duplicate the searches that Sarah showed you earlier. So we'll start by typing in restaurants, and like down here under industry profiles, it gives you the code that Sarah pulled up under NAICS for full service restaurants. And so here we are on that screen. And the actual industry reports are over here on the left side. The main one that Gail does is this U.S. industry report for full service restaurants. You can see this is they last updated that in 2023. So you'll still see a lot of references to COVID and how that affected the industry. You get history, organization and structure, current conditions, industry leaders. And then at the bottom here, you have all the sources that they use to get the information. And those can actually be very helpful sometimes to, some of these will link to websites where you can get free information as well. All right, I'm gonna go back. And we'll look at the Plunkett's report for full service restaurants. Now this source gives us a lot more financial kind of information about the industry. As it says here, analytics, deep financial benchmarks, metrics and revenue forecasts. So I'll just scroll down here, pick a random one. So you can see industry revenues and over a number of years. And it can be really helpful. Other than COVID, when everything tanked in 2020, it can be helpful to be able to show what the trends are in a particular industry. So, when you go to a lender, you can say, here, this shows that this industry has been growing steadily for the last 10 years. And that can help your case when you're talking to them. So just a little bit more there. Okay. So obviously there are a few more industry reports, possibilities there. But if you scroll down, you can go straight down to the industry articles. This database splits them up by trade journal articles, academic journal, and magazine articles. So you can they can help you to focus a little bit more about what you want. This is also where you can find reports for market share and rankings, and the case studies. So you can either click on those or you can just scroll down here to try to get a sense of what's in there. Sometimes it's not really obvious why a particular report is included for, we are looking at the restaurant industry, but here we have Sweden, oil and gas. So sometimes you still have to do a little bit of digging. You can also use this advanced search way up at the top here. Whenever I'm looking for something specific in article-wise, I use this. So you can use this to pull different terms together, restaurants and dogs, or whatever, and that'll give you a much better hit list than just the browsing an entire huge industry like restaurants. You can also use this to, if you search for publication title, you can type in Crane's Cleveland Business or whichever other journal you're interested in and search. And there you've got, starting with the most recent, you can see at least the majority of the articles that are in Crane's. There is at least a week delay, so you're not necessarily going to see the most recent issue, but this is good to know. Even if you don't want to look at all of the articles from Crane's, you could, you know that it's going to have, this database has some articles that are, you know, a little bit narrower focus than just national. Okay, I think that was it for that database. I'm going to go back to the home page, our home page, so we can go into another database. Got a little carried away there. Okay, back to business and investing. And here we have Data Axle. And this one you can get into from offsite if you have either a CPL card or any of the other CleveNet cards. Okay, and there's this just extra little thing that you can get rid of right away. You see that Data Axle has a number of different databases included here. We're going to go into U.S. consumers and lifestyles and straight into the advanced search. All right, so the most interesting thing here, well, actually, Data Axle allows you to select just one per household. So you can either try to get everybody's name in the household to send them all a different piece of mail, or you could limit it to one person. And then the lifestyles, this is the fun part here. We're going to go under cooking and wine. Okay, so we decided that we want to cover all of those. So we just click over there. You could just search one or the other of those as well. Estimated home income, pop that in up at the top here. We're going to select a range. I'll just select what's on the screen there. And then geographically, we can enter the 44109. Well, it helps if the num logs are on. And then I'm going to come over to the right and click on update count just to kind of get an idea of how many there are there, and then view results. And here's the full list of all the people living in that zip code that meet the rest of the criteria. We can go look at that chart. And so either using this visually or scrolling down to get the full detail, if you see, well, actually, since there are more people in this income range, maybe these are the people that I want to focus on. So you can get an even more limited list just by following that link. Okay. And it looks like we're running a little short on time, so, but you could do the same searching with, you know, to look up the dogs and do the heat map, you know, doing that same the same way. Okay, and then we're going to go into the US businesses to look at competitors. We'll go into advanced. And here we, under business type, keyword or SIC or NAICS. So since we already know what our code is, we're going to just type that in. Okay, restaurants. In geography, we can come over here and select Cleveland. See how many Clevelands there are in the United States. Just want Ohio. And yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, so we got almost 1,100, and here they all are. So you can do a lot with this list. Obviously, you probably, if we're looking for sit-down restaurants, we don't need to be including 7-Eleven. But you can download your list and massage it however you want to. You can also let's see, say, you know, you don't have a whole lot of time, but you want to quickly figure out who Johnny's Tavern competitors are. You can come back and do a quick search. Johnny's Tavern with only one E. Okay, Johnny's Tavern and Restaurant. And you get the full information here. Though this is where I discovered yesterday that, well, it doesn't say that it's a restaurant here. Well, if you go back in and you search just Johnny's, you'll discover that they have about 3 or 4 different listings. They do have multiple locations, but you have to be a little bit careful sometimes when you're searching. So this search actually works better if you just type in Johnny's in Cleveland, Ohio. Then you'll get all of their locations. But since I've got this one pulled up here, I'm just scrolling down to the bottom, and that's where you'll see the nearby businesses in the competitors. So in this case, since they did not choose to include the NAICS code for restaurants, the competitors report is just going to be showing up as other taverns. Okay. And then back to the advanced search. So that we can find restaurant equipment as something that a restaurant owner would potentially need. Just pick a couple of these here. Notice whatever we select, it puts it in the box down here. And then you could limit that to the Cleveland area, or you could have it search the whole US. Or, Ohio. This is really nice because you've got lots and lots of choices there. So probably you don't need to buy that that new refrigerator from Anchorage, but this is where you can easily go back and revise your search and add the geography in to something that makes a little bit more sense. And that's it for that database. Obviously, there's a lot more to both of these databases, and yeah, always feel free to come in or give us a call if you have questions. And I just stop sharing. Okay, back to you, Sarah.
Would you like me to do a quick merchant overview, or do you want me to just answer questions? This is the collective view.
Uh, do the merchant, I think, if you
Okay.
can. I think we've answered most of the questions.
I can do that. Let me share my screen. Right, so I'm already looking at merchant. What are we going to look for? Let's do a consumer data search. Very similar. Advanced search. It's just like we did before. Location. You could do multiple zip codes because I think that was a question. So if I want 44109 and, or I could just separate my commas. 44102, 44114. But on merchant, you have to click add to criteria. Sorry, I'm looking at another screen, so I'm not staring at the camera. Lifestyle. We're going to look for book buyers and book readers. High tech. I'm just making this up. Add to criteria. I'm just going to just do those. And then again, you get a list of people. So if you want to do the same thing for like an industry search, go back home. You could put your NAICS codes in. Cannot remember our restaurants. List your restaurant supplies. And it will just give you a general overview. You can go back home and then do an actual search. So you could do an advanced search anywhere, but you can come in here. And this one is a lot more involved if you're doing some specific industry research. So you can pick certain company names, but you can pick a company type. So if you want the headquarters, say you're looking at McDonald's for some reason and you're opening up another burger place, you can look at that. You can look at their DUNS number, which is kind of obsolete these days. But if they're public or private, if they are minority owned, and that, especially if you're doing government contracting and you're looking for someone who fits the women owned, minority owned, disabled veteran, general small business, or hub zone for SBA, I think those are right. Then you could see who else is around. Then I can go to industry. So this is where I can put in my SIC or switch it to NAICS. So I'm just going to pick one. Wholesale, no. Retail trade. You can expand it. I don't want general. I don't want, let's look for health stuff. Why are you not coming off? There we go. Add the criteria. I want a location in Ohio. I'm not going to put Cleveland, but you can. And it gave me 9,000 companies. Why Bath and Body Works is health related, I have no idea. But again, this like Dollar General for some reason is restaurant supply. But yeah, you could see, and some of these are B2B, some of these are B2C, but you can go through and find out what's here. And obviously you can, ownership type, change all of these, or look at these, specifically to public. Most of these are private. So that's a very, very quick emergent search. There's far more that you can do with it, but that's, and while I'm here, I'm also going to go to this is my shortcut to all the databases, but Gale legal forms. And again, these are my absolute favorite, but you can see all the different types that they have here and then the main categories. If you just click small business, it'll give you so much, but this is really helpful if you're looking for examples of what like starting an LLC versus a S corp or whatever it is. You can see that stuff here. If you need HR stuff, I mean, it's it's really really great. And I'll just pick on one: warranty for an AC unit. Who knew? And it's a Word document. Click on it, it downloads, and hopefully this will still share. Maybe not, but it'll be a Word document. You can fill it out, and once you download it, it's yours. Now I will stop sharing. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've answered most of the questions. I would have to say that more than anything else, I think people should use the competitive analysis. The more you know about your competitor, the more you're able to fill in gaps or look at, where they are, what they do, what their pricing is. It's just invaluable. And Sarah and Sandra, thank you so much for spending an hour with us and giving us all that wonderful information. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
again, take advantage of it. It's just the most wonderful resource. And just offhand, Sarah, do you know if other libraries like Cincinnati or Columbus have similar resources?
So, some have a little bit, but not everything. I just looked at Cincinnati Public, one of the other CPLs. They have Mergent archives, but not the Mergent that we've been using. So they don't have the former, what is it? The
Dun and
whatever it used to be.
Bradstreet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like Dun and Bradstreet. Too many acronyms. So you can get some of it, but you can have a CPL card. I think this was in the chat, and have another library card. It doesn't matter. It's like having Sam's Club and Costco.
Yeah.
You can have them both. Um,
Well, I have my CPL card and I have my local library card.
mhm,
But I must say, when I'm looking for real information, the CPL one gets more use.
yes. And I think there's a Chat GPT question, and I gave like a really quick answer, but one of the first interactions that we had with it, we had a local engineer who was working on a project who sent us a list of articles. Could we find them? And we couldn't find a single one. And they were all journals that we had. We asked, like, where did you get these? Oh, ChatGPT gave them to me. It made up fake journal like articles because it doesn't have access to those things either through a library or through a paywall or something. So there's a lot of stuff that it can't do. Um,
Right.
but it'll get you in the ballpark. But if you really want to look specifically at those, not minor details, the
Yeah.
minute details, yeah.
And I did point out that the free Chat GPT is not up to date. The
Mm.
most recent information is 2022. So
Oh,
if you're going to use AI tools, think about like Gemini or Copilot or one that are more up to date. But as Sarah says, they do make up things. So,
Yeah.
if you're actually doing searches, ask for references,
hmm
ask for citations, and you can check them and see if they actually exist and if they are relevant for you. So be careful with the AI tools.
I will say it's great if you're. So I've asked it before. When we do patent and trademark searching, like, well, what classification numbers would you recommend for this type of product? And it will give me a list, and it's actually pretty good. Or if you just want to know more general industry research, like what are the NAICS codes for this company?
Mhm.
That's fine. It'll give you that, and then you can take that information and then further your search with us.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, well, thank you again. And I hope that the rest of your day will be as beneficial and fruitful as this past hour has been. So, thank you all for attending.